You've probably asked yourself before, who were you before you were born? Before entering this world, did we exist in some form? Was there a part of us that lived, felt, and experienced things that we have no memory of? These are big questions, and ones that many of us ponder at some point in life. Perhaps the question, who were you before you were born, isn't just a biological or physical inquiry, but a profound exploration of the soul, the universe, and the meaning of our existence. Why do we come into existence at a specific time in history, in a particular family, culture, and set of circumstances? Are we merely individuals who live and die, or do we carry with us a deeper purpose or mission that we can only fulfill in this life? Many believe that before we were born, our souls existed and may have even lived through past lives. Some religions, like Hinduism and Buddhism, teach that our souls go through cycles of birth and rebirth, carrying with them the experiences and lessons of past lives. In these views, our birth is not random, but part of a much larger cosmic journey. But even in Western beliefs, there are hints of a divine plan or purpose that guides us before we come into this world. This question, who were you before you were born, leads us to something larger than just individual lives. It challenges us to consider whether our souls had a plan before we came into this life, whether we are following a preordained path, or whether we are creating our own destiny. What if everything in your life, the people you meet, the lessons you learn, the struggles you face, are all part of a bigger story, a story that began long before you even opened your eyes to this world? In this video, we're going to explore these deep and fascinating questions. Together, we'll look into the ancient wisdom of religions and philosophies, the modern scientific perspectives, and the mysterious experiences of those who believe they've had glimpses of life before birth. Whether you're curious about the nature of your own soul or simply intrigued by the mysteries of existence, this is a journey worth taking. So let's dive in and explore who you were before you were born. Section 1, the soul and its journey. Have you ever wondered if there's more to life than the physical world we see around us? If there's more to who we are than just flesh and bone? Many spiritual traditions across the world share a belief that before we were born, our souls existed in some form. This concept has been around for thousands of years, and while it might sound mysterious or even impossible, it's an idea that speaks to a deeper understanding of life itself. One of the oldest and most widely known views comes from Eastern religions like Hinduism and Buddhism. In these traditions, life is seen as a cycle, a continuous loop of birth, death, and rebirth. The soul, or Atman in Hinduism, is believed to exist long before our birth. It's part of a divine energy that cycles through multiple lifetimes, each one serving as a new opportunity to learn, grow, and evolve. In Buddhism, this cycle of rebirth is called samsara, and it's driven by karma, the law of cause and effect. Our actions in past lives influence the conditions of our present life, and our choices in this life shape what we'll experience in the next. For these traditions, the soul is eternal and its journey is ongoing, with each lifetime serving as a chapter in a larger story of spiritual growth. In the West, some branches of Christianity also hint at a pre-birth existence, though not in the same way. While the Bible doesn't explicitly state that we lived before birth, there are passages that suggest God knew us before we were born, and that He has a plan for us even before we enter this world. In the book of Jeremiah, for example, God says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." This suggests that even before the physical body comes into existence, the soul is known and loved by God. Modern spiritual perspectives also support the idea of a pre-birth existence. Some believe that souls choose the lives they are born into, selecting the challenges and experiences that will help them grow spiritually. This concept of soul contracts suggests that we come to Earth with a mission, whether it's to learn certain lessons, heal past karma, or accomplish something that serves the greater good. And then there's the scientific approach. While the idea of a soul may not be something science can directly measure, there are interesting theories that explore the connection between consciousness and existence. Some quantum physicists and consciousness researchers have proposed that consciousness isn't limited to the brain, but may be a fundamental aspect of the universe itself. In this view, consciousness exists beyond the physical body and may persist before and after our time in this world. If consciousness is a universal force, perhaps our souls are more than just creations of the human mind. They might be eternal, traveling through time, space, and lives yet to be lived. So who were you before you were born? According to many spiritual teachings, you were a soul, eternal, wise, and part of a much greater cosmic story. Your soul may have lived through many lifetimes, experiencing countless lessons, and when you were born into this world, you brought with you the wisdom and purpose of all those experiences. Section 2. Philosophical and religious views on pre-life. The idea of pre-life existence isn't just a mystical or spiritual belief. It's a question that has fascinated philosophers and religious thinkers for centuries. Across cultures and belief systems, there are various interpretations of what happens before birth and what our souls are doing before they enter the physical world. Let's start with some of the oldest philosophical traditions, beginning with the ancient Greeks. The philosopher Plato, in his dialogue Meno, introduced the idea of anamnesis, or remembering. He suggested that our souls existed before birth, and that learning in this life is simply a process of remembering the knowledge our souls had before we were born. For Plato, the soul is eternal, and each life we experience is an opportunity to rediscover truths we already know deep within us. In this view, the soul is like a traveler, moving through different bodies and lives, collecting wisdom along the way. Plato's ideas about the soul influenced later thinkers, including those in Christianity and the Western philosophical tradition. In Hinduism, the idea of the soul's journey before birth is even more explicit. As mentioned earlier, the soul is believed to go through cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, guided by the law of karma. Each life is a chance for the soul to learn and grow, with the ultimate goal of reaching liberation, or moksha. This liberation comes when the soul breaks free from the cycle of rebirth and merges with the divine. According to Hindu philosophy, the choices we make in our past lives directly affect our current life. This means that we come into this life with the effects of past actions, both good and bad, which shape our experiences, relationships, and challenges. Buddhism shares a similar understanding of the soul's journey, but it teaches that there is no permanent, unchanging self or soul. Instead, Buddhism focuses on the continuity of consciousness. The consciousness that moves from one life to the next carries with it the seeds of past actions and experiences, but it's not the same self that existed before. This ongoing stream of consciousness is shaped by karma, and it continues until one reaches enlightenment, at which point the cycle of samsara is broken. So while Buddhism doesn't view the soul as an eternal entity in the same way Hinduism does, it still acknowledges a kind of continuity before and after this life. In the Western religious context, particularly within Christianity, the idea of pre-life existence is more subtle, but still present. The Bible suggests that God has a plan for each individual, and that this plan begins long before birth. In addition to the passage from Jeremiah, there are references in the New Testament that imply a divine knowing and purpose before we are born. In Ephesians 1:4, it says, "He chose us in him before the foundation of the world." And this idea suggests that even before we were conceived, we were part of a divine purpose, part of God's grand design. The concept of pre-birth existence also appears in other religious traditions, such as in the teachings of certain mystics, Gnostics, and even in the Kabbalah, the mystical tradition of Judaism. These teachings suggest that the soul is eternal, and that before birth, it is part of a cosmic plan that we can barely understand in our current form. In these views, our time on earth is just a small part of a larger spiritual journey, one that may extend beyond the limits of a single lifetime. While each of these religious and philosophical systems has its own take on pre-life existence, they share a common thread, the idea that there's something more to us than just the body we inhabit. Whether it's the eternal soul that moves through cycles of reincarnation, the continuity of consciousness that carries our actions and experiences, or the divine plan that guides us from before birth. These teachings suggest that we are more than just what we appear to be. Our existence, it seems, is part of a much larger cosmic mystery, a mystery that stretches far beyond the time of our birth. Section 3. The role of memory in past lives. The idea of past lives and the memory of who we were before we were born may sound like something out of a fantasy, but what if there were tangible experiences and evidence to support it? Many people throughout history have claimed to remember fragments of their past lives, vivid memories that seem to transcend their current existence. These recollections challenge the conventional understanding of memory and raise fascinating questions about the nature of consciousness itself. One of the most well-known studies on past life memories comes from the work of Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist who spent decades investigating cases of children who seemed to recall detailed memories of previous lives. In some cases, these children could identify people, places, and events from their supposed past lives, even providing names and details that were later verified by investigators. Stevenson's work suggests that, in some instances, these memories are so vivid and accurate that they cannot easily be explained away as imagination or coincidence. These findings led him to propose the theory that consciousness, at least in certain cases, exists beyond the confines of a single lifetime, and that some part of our past lives can persist in our memories. So, how does this fit into the larger idea of who we were before we were born? If these memories are genuine, they point to the possibility that our soul carries fragments of past lives with it, memories that are not erased when we are born. Some believe that these memories are suppressed by the mind to help us focus on the present life and avoid being overwhelmed by past experiences. Yet there are others who argue that these memories can resurface at certain points in life, often triggered by a person, place, or event that feels strangely familiar. Additionally, some spiritual traditions suggest that before we are born, we agree to certain lessons or experiences that will shape our next life. These agreements, sometimes referred to as soul contracts, are believed to be made with other souls before birth. The idea is that we choose the circumstances of our life, whether it's our family, our challenges, or our unique circumstances, in order to fulfill a purpose or to learn important lessons. While these agreements might not be something we can consciously remember, the subconscious mind might still retain a sense of purpose and direction, nudging us towards certain choices or events that align with our pre-birth agreements. Some individuals, through meditation, hypnotherapy, or other spiritual practices, claim to have uncovered past life memories, some of which profoundly change their understanding of themselves and their current life. These experiences often lead to a deep sense of purpose and clarity. Perhaps in these moments, we're reminded of who we were before we were born, a soul with a unique mission, carrying wisdom from lives that came before this one. Whether we consciously remember past lives or not, there's something profound about the idea that we might not be starting from scratch each time we're born. Maybe the essence of who we are, the lessons we've learned, the relationships we've had, and the growth we've experienced carries forward, shaping who we become in this life. Section 4. The connection between life choices and pre-birth decisions. If we consider the idea that our souls existed before birth and that we made choices about our life's journey, we begin to look at life from a much more intentional perspective. What if our lives are not just a series of random events, but a carefully designed path that we set for ourselves before we were born? This concept raises important questions about fate, free will, and the ways in which our choices align with our soul's purpose. Many spiritual traditions believe in the concept of a soul contract, an agreement that we make before birth regarding the lessons, challenges, and experiences we will face in our lifetime. According to this belief, we choose our families, our circumstance, and even some of the people we meet along the way. This choice isn't random or coincidental. Instead, it's deeply tied to the purpose of our soul. We may select the specific challenges we will face because they are the very things that will help us grow spiritually or fulfill our life's purpose. This idea challenges the common notion of free will. If we choose our life circumstances before birth, how much of our experience is truly random and how much of it is preordained? Some believe that while we may have free will in how we navigate our lives, the overarching framework of our journey, our soul's purpose, was chosen before birth. In this view, we are co-creators of our destiny, and our life's path is one we chose in collaboration with the universe or a higher power. Our soul, having gained wisdom and experience from previous lives, knows what it needs to learn and experience in this lifetime to continue its journey of growth. This idea is reflected in the concept of synchronicity, those moments when things seem to line up perfectly, when a seemingly random event or encounter changes the course of your life in profound ways. Synchronicities often occur when we are on the path our soul chose for us before birth, and they remind us that there is a deeper, more meaningful design to our lives than we might realize. These moments of alignment may feel like chance, but to those who believe in soul contracts, They are a sign that we are in sync with our soul's purpose. One of the most powerful ways that our pre-birth choices manifest is through the challenges we face. Difficulties, struggles, and painful experiences are often seen as opportunities for growth. While we may not always understand why certain things happen to us, there is a belief that these challenges are tailored to help us evolve, heal, and reach a higher level of consciousness. In this sense, suffering isn't something to be avoided, it's something to be embraced as part of our soul's plan. As we look at the events and decisions in our lives, we may begin to see patterns, certain themes, lessons, or people that have appeared again and again. These recurring experiences could be the result of pre-birth decisions, lessons that our soul wanted to learn, or people we agreed to meet in this lifetime to help us grow. It's as if everything in our lives, both the highs and the lows, are part of a carefully crafted design that our soul created long before we were born. The connection between our life choices and pre-birth decisions invites us to view our lives from a more intentional and meaningful perspective. It encourages us to ask questions about the path we are on and whether it aligns with the deeper purpose of our soul. Perhaps the key to understanding our journey is to look beyond the surface, to trust that the events of our lives, no matter how challenging, are not random, but part of a much larger, grander story that began long before we ever took our first breath. Section 5. Science in the soul's existence. While the concept of the soul and its journey before birth has long been a topic of spiritual and philosophical exploration, science has also begun to approach questions about the nature of consciousness and existence in ways that may hint at something beyond the physical body. For many, the idea of a soul or pre-birth existence is more than just a matter of belief. It's an essential question that challenges our understanding of life itself. One of the most intriguing fields of study in recent years is quantum physics, which has revolutionized our understanding of the universe and the nature of reality. Quantum theory suggests that reality is not as fixed as it appears. At the subatomic level, particles behave in ways that defy the traditional laws of physics. This has led some scientists to propose that consciousness might not be solely tied to the brain. Instead, it could be the fundamental property of the universe, something that exists outside the physical body and persists before and after we are born. One of the most famous theories that ties into this concept is the idea of quantum consciousness. Proposed by physicists like Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, this theory suggests that consciousness arises from quantum processes that occur within the brain's neurons. According to this view, consciousness may not just be an emergent property of the brain, but a deeper aspect of reality that exists independently of our physical body. If consciousness can exist beyond the body, it raises the possibility that the soul, whatever that may be, could also transcend physical death and exist before birth. In this context, the idea of a pre-birth existence is no longer a matter of speculation, but a possibility supported by our understanding of quantum mechanics. In addition to quantum physics, another area of scientific inquiry that intersects with the question of the soul is the study of near-death experiences, NDEs. Many individuals who have had NDEs report experiences of leaving their physical bodies, traveling through a tunnel, and encountering beings of light or deceased loved ones. These experiences often provide a profound sense of peace and understanding, as if the individual has glimpsed something beyond the physical realm. For some, these experiences suggest that consciousness is not confined to the brain, but instead exists independently of the body. This raises the question, if consciousness can continue after death, could it also have existed before birth? Some researchers like Dr. Raymond Moody, who is known for his work on NDEs, suggest that these experiences point to the existence of a non-physical aspect of reality, a realm where consciousness continues before and after life on Earth. Dr. Moody's work, along with countless other testimonies of people who have experienced NDEs, suggests that the soul or consciousness may indeed exist outside of time and space as we understand it. This aligns with many spiritual traditions that believe our soul is eternal, passing through multiple lives and stages of existence. Though science has yet to definitively prove the existence of a soul or a pre-birth consciousness, the ongoing studies in quantum physics, consciousness research, and near-death experiences suggest that there is much more to our existence than meets the eye. Whether we call it the soul, consciousness, or something else entirely, science is beginning to provide new ways of thinking about who we are and where we came from. challenging us to reconsider our views on life, death, and what exists before we are born. Section 6. How your life reflects your pre-birth essence. If we accept the possibility that our souls existed before birth and that we may have made choices about our life's journey, it raises the question, how does our current life reflect this pre-birth essence? Do we carry within us the wisdom, purpose, and experiences of our past lives? Or are we simply starting from scratch with each new birth? One of the most intriguing aspects of this idea is the notion that our life choices, experiences, and even the people we encounter might be connected to the decisions we made before we were born. Many spiritual traditions suggest that before we enter the physical world, we plan our lives in collaboration with a higher power or the universe. We choose the lessons we need to learn, the challenges we will face, and the relationships that will shape our personal growth. These decisions are believed to be part of our soul's contract, an agreement made before birth that will guide us on our journey. Throughout our lives, we may encounter moments of deep knowing, instances when something feels strangely familiar, or when we experience a powerful sense of purpose. These moments can be seen as glimpses of our pre-birth essence, reminders that we are not here by accident. They might manifest as a sense of destiny, a feeling that we are on the right path, or even as intense déjà vu moments when we feel as though we have lived through a situation before. These experiences can often feel like the universe is guiding us toward fulfilling our soul's purpose, and they might even help us recognize our deeper calling in life. In many ways, the life you are living now is a reflection of the decisions your soul made long before you were born. Think of the passions that drive you, the things that excite you and bring you joy. For some, these passions may seem to have been with them their entire lives, a deep, unshakable desire that feels intrinsic to their very being. What if these passions are part of your soul's purpose, guiding you toward fulfilling your mission in this lifetime? Perhaps the hobbies, talents, and interests you have are not simply random, but rather the key to unlocking a greater understanding of who you are and why you are here. Similarly, the challenges you face in life, the difficulties, setbacks, and struggles, might be seen as part of the soul's plan for growth. Rather than viewing hardship as something to be avoided, many spiritual teachings encourage us to embrace it as an essential part of our journey. These challenges may be the very things that push us to evolve, to heal past wounds, and to learn lessons that are essential to our spiritual development. In this sense, the struggles you face are not obstacles, but opportunities to fulfill the purpose your soul set for itself before birth. The people you meet in your life also play a crucial role in reflecting your pre-birth essence. Whether they are family, friends, or even strangers, the relationships we form can be seen as part of the divine plan. Some relationships may feel fated, as if they were meant to be from the very beginning. These people may help us grow, challenge us, or support us in ways that align with our soul's journey. The connections we form with others might be reflections of the agreements made before birth, a recognition of souls meeting once again on their shared journey. When we begin to look at life from the perspective that we chose it before we were born, everything begins to take on new meaning. Every choice, every encounter, and every experience becomes part of a larger, more intentional design. It is as if we are walking a path that was laid out for us long ago, guided by the wisdom and purpose of our soul. Understanding this can help us view our lives with a greater sense of meaning and clarity, knowing that we are not just drifting through life at random, but are actively participating in the fulfillment of a deeper, cosmic purpose. In the end, your life, your choices, your relationships, your passions, and your challenges are not just the result of random events. They are reflections of your pre-birth essence, a soul on a journey of growth, learning, and fulfillment. As you walk this path, remember that you are not alone. You are part of a greater story, a story that began long before your birth and will continue long after. Section 7. The universe's grand design and our place within it. If we take a step back and view the larger picture of life, we begin to see something incredible. A vast, interconnected web of existence. From the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, everything is intricately linked. And within this web, our lives have a unique, essential role to play. If our souls truly existed before we were born, as many traditions suggest, then our journey is not just a personal one, but part of a greater cosmic design, a design that stretches across time, space, and existence itself. Throughout history, many cultures have spoken of this interconnectedness. In ancient philosophies, the idea that the universe is an organized, purposeful system with every part of it connected has been prevalent. The concept of the One in Greek philosophy, or the idea of Brahman in Hinduism, speaks to the belief that all beings are part of a greater whole, a divine force or energy that unites everything. In this view, our souls are not isolated, but instead they are part of a larger cosmic process, playing out their roles in the divine plan. In the context of pre-birth existence, this interconnectedness suggests that the soul's journey is not just about individual growth, but about fulfilling a purpose within the greater universal story. Just as the planets revolve around the sun and stars are born and die in cycles, our souls, too, might move through cycles of existence, fulfilling their mission each time they are born. The challenges we face, the relationships we form, and the lessons we learn and are all part of this grand design, shaping us into who we need to be to play our part in the greater story of the universe. This interconnectedness also brings a sense of peace and purpose. It suggests that nothing is truly random, and that every experience, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, is a meaningful part of the journey. Each moment is part of a much larger process, one that we may not fully understand, but that guides us in ways we can't always see. Our lives, our struggles, and our joys are not isolated incidents, but are threads woven into the fabric of the universe's grand design. As we reflect on the idea that we have been part of this grand cosmic story long before we were born, we are reminded that we are not alone. We are part of something greater, something much more vast and beautiful than we can truly comprehend. Our lives and our souls are part of a universal flow, and every step we take on our journey is a step toward fulfilling our unique role in that flow. The universe, it seems, has a grand plan, a plan that we may not always understand, but one that continues to unfold with each passing moment. And our place in this plan, our purpose, may have been chosen long before we took our first breath. Conclusion: embracing your soul's journey. As we come to the end of this exploration into who we were before we were born, it's important to remember that the journey doesn't end here. Whether or not we can definitively answer the question of who we were before we were born, the exploration itself opens up a greater understanding of who we are now. Our souls are far more than just physical bodies walking through time. We are eternal beings filled with wisdom, purpose, and the potential for growth. Every experience in this life, every wekachuam, every sorrow, every relationship, and every challenge has meaning. It's part of the journey we chose before we were born, a path we designed to help us fulfill our soul's purpose. The idea that we existed before birth and that our souls carry with them the essence of past lives and experiences provides us with a new perspective on life. It encourages us to embrace the challenges we face, knowing they are not random, but part of a larger plan. It reminds us that our passions, our interests, and the people we meet are not mere coincidences. They are part of a cosmic design guiding us toward our greater purpose. In the end, life is not just about what we see on the surface. It's about the deeper spiritual journey that each of us is on. The question of who we were before we were born is not just an academic or philosophical inquiry. It's a call to embrace the mystery of life, to recognize the interconnectedness of all things, and to trust in the journey we are on. As you continue on your path, remember that you are not here by accident. Your life is part of a much grander story, one that began before you were born and will continue long after you leave this world. Embrace your soul's journey, trust in the lessons it brings, and know that you are playing your part in the greater cosmic design. The universe is unfolding, and you are a vital piece of it. You are part of something eternal, something beautiful, something far greater than you can imagine. So as you walk this life, carry with you the understanding that your soul is eternal, your purpose is meaningful, and your journey is part of a grand cosmic plan. And no matter where you are in life right now, remember that your existence is just one chapter in a much larger, beautiful story. A story that began long before you were born and will continue long after you are gone.